We are live on episode 3 of the Zach and Jay Show. We're back, and we are
live.
Excited.
Live. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Welcome back. Always a pleasure to be in your guys' ear. And Jay and I have a topic that we are both, I would say it's the most shared passion of ours.
Yeah, and it's something that everyone's going to be able to relate to. You know, it's something that everyone deals with on an everyday basis.
Gym or no gym?
Gym or no gym. Doesn't matter what you do. If you're a human being and you breathe, you experience this.
What is it, Jay?
It's resistance. So if you guys follow me on social media, you've heard of me reference the war of art. I post about it all the time. When I'm reading it, you guys know. I post the excerpts, throughout my story. And I've had a lot of people that have taken my recommendation and read the book as well. And everyone comes back to me and they're like, wow, that impacted my life so much. That had such a positive impact on my life. And so many people I don't know, and also a lot of people I do know. Like Zach, for example, he's listening to probably the 4th or 5th time right now. Ashley, she's listened to it a couple times. She loves it. Her and I did a whole podcast on it. And the whole basis of the book is resistance, though, right? So for me, resistance is that negative energy. It's that devil on your shoulder, right? So you've seen, like in movies, there's a devil and there's an angel. The devil is the voice in your head telling you to eat potato chips and watch TV instead of eating a salad and going to the gym. Right, it's that energy that's trying to pull you from fulfilling your, true calling in life. So most people know, kind of what they're here on earth for. Not most people, but there are a lot of people out there that know what they should be doing in life, but this resistance is pulling them down, right? So for me, I know that I'm destined to do, personal development, help people develop themselves inside and outside the gym, right? And resistance is constantly trying to pull me away from that, telling me, you're not good enough, you can't do the video stuff, you can't do podcasts, right? And all these different things that have allowed me to build up a following and impact people, right? So it's that energy that's constantly pulling you down. It's pulling you from a 10 to a 5. It's never trying to pull you from a 5 to a 10, right? It's always pulling you down, leveling you down. And it's literally, it's there every single day. You wake up in the morning, you feel resistance. Like I said, everyone experiences resistance to a certain extent. As soon as you wake up in the morning, it's that voice that's telling you to stay in bed instead of getting up an hour early and reading and meditating, right? It's constantly pulling you back.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. That is literally exactly what resistance is to me as well, man. But I really, over that, I wanted to mention, I heard you talking about, you said most people know what they should be doing. When you corrected yourself, I think a lot of people. I think almost everybody, I want to say everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing. They might not have identified the field yet, but if you can identify what you're doing is not what you want to do, you have that whole quarter flip. When you flip a quarter and choose, you're going to decide which one you want when it's in midair. That's kind of like that's how I view the exact same on, I think we all kind of know where we want to be, but we just haven't identified the exact field. Like I know I want to help people. I've known this for a while, and then how I was able to identify that was training clients in self-development, podcasting, this niche. But I think we try to overly identify what it is. Like rather than saying it's just helping people, and whatever falls into that works for me. Right. It's just pick a generalized statement, something that you enjoy doing, and then I like to be around kids. And then you have we have daycare services, and then you have hospitals, and then you have coaching. You can kind of pick a few things, and then whatever tickles your fancy more, jump into that field, jump into that craft, and see if that's the right one. Well, that's not the right one helping kids. Let me try this one that helps kids, and then try the next to help kids.
Starting with a very general idea, and posing this question to yourself can help a lot. So 2 years ago, probably 2.5 years ago now, I was living in my parents' house, right? And I remember very distinctly, I was sitting in my parents' bathroom. It was my bathroom, but I was sitting in the bathroom, oddly enough, and I had the fan going. I love reading in the bathroom with the fan going. It's weird, I know, but I love it. I remember very distinctly sitting there reading this book. I had just gotten laid off by Muscle Farm probably 3 months prior. I was working as a real estate agent at the time. I thought, going into real estate as a realtor was a good idea because I long-term wanted to be a real estate investor. So everything was going well. I had already sold a couple houses, I was making some money. And I read this excerpt from the book, though, that said, if you were the last person on earth, would you still do it? Right? And you can pose that question a number of different ways, in regards to your life. And I posed it, towards my career at the time. And I was like, well, shit, if I was the last person on earth, I wouldn't be selling houses. I wouldn't be even flipping houses, which was my long-term goal. So I was like, what would I still be doing? And what I would still be doing was lifting weights and personal development. So I was like, okay, how can I, make a career out of that? And I kind of stepped back and I was like, oh, like all around me, someone I was working with at the time had been doing that forever, and I'd been watching them do it. And I was like, oh, I know how I could, get to that point. I got to start producing content. And so I stepped back and I was like, okay, where can I start today? I went to Best Buy that day and I bought a tripod. I went home and I just started filming bullshit YouTube videos. And then from there, I started just to record my daily Instagram videos, right? So I started posting every single day on Instagram, and I would just post my lifts, a couple accessory movements. Like, here's a, great accessory for your quads. Here's a great accessory for your chest with a couple of tips, right? And then just posting my journey. And through that, I eventually led me to online coaching, which is where I started to monetize this passion. This thing that I would still be doing if I was the last person on earth, which is personal development, lifting weights. I've kind of started to find a way to monetize that through the online coaching, which is much more than just physical fitness coaching. It's a very, very overall coaching, life coaching, if you will. I try to help people, give them book recommendations, talk about their goals. And it was just wild to me to read that excerpt and how much it opened my eyes, and then it allowed me to begin making that trek. And coming back to the book again, we're in resistance. Resistance is again that energy that's pulling you away from your calling, right? So for me, it came in the form of like being terrified of doing videos, even of doing just basic videos. Is like not even talking, having someone video of me of doing my basic lifts in the gym. I was terrified of. So resistance was telling me I couldn't do that, and you're afraid of that, right? And it was just telling me all these different things, and I had to continue to battle through that adversity and that discomfort to try to begin fulfilling this vision that I had for myself and living this life, that it felt like was my calling, right? So that eventually led me to my decision to move to Indianapolis, which was filled with resistance. I spent a whole month going back and forth, the devil and the angel on my shoulder, right? Telling me I should move and telling me I shouldn't move. Eventually I followed my gut, and here I am in Indianapolis. And it all started with that single excerpt from that book. It's what led me to Indianapolis. That's what led me to doing online coaching. That's what has led me to making a full-time job out of personal development and lifting weights.
What's so admirable, the whole story was, but what's so admirable about that story, Jay, and something I don't know if you ever fully identify as much as I identified in you, is your self-belief. You read a book on the floor of your bathroom with the fan on that said, if you weren't doing this rest of your life, or could you see yourself doing this rest of your life if no one existed on earth? That exact day, you took a step back from real estate and went and bought a tripod because you believed so much in yourself that you could still make it in the fitness career, even though you're already growing yourself as a real estate agent.
Right.
That is so much self-belief, so much conquering resistance.
I was terrified though. Resistance was so that's when resistance.
But you went in. But you went anyways.
I went anyways, right? And that's something that I've learned over the last 2 years. That is one of the most important skills to have, is to identify resistance and discomfort and go towards it. Right? There's a lot of things I still need to improve on and get better at. Overcome.
Just take the compliment.
Resistance. I know.
Just take the compliment.
But it again, I think for the general masses, it's important to step back and realize that it's going to be tough to overcome the resistance. It's going to be tough to live the life of your dreams, but it's possible.
I love the idea of not overthinking and just going. You know
Right.
me, I'm real. We talk about introvert, extrovert. Extroverts are very just go, 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 very action based.
Right.
Where introverts think things more through.
Right. So for you, for example, how do you feel when you wake up in the morning? Do you experience resistance right off the jump?
So it varies week to week, month to month on my circumstances, but mostly, dude, I wake up in the morning and I'm fucking clanging and banging. I'm excited about getting into my day. I know what I have to do. I know what I'm going to do. And I think a lot of it has to come from my preparation the night before. I start prepping for Tuesday on Monday night. Mondays really don't hit me in the face, I feel like, the same way as they hit everyone else in the face, because I'm prepared for a battle. I know Monday is my enemy. I know weird shit just happens on Monday. I know resistance and the devil are just hanging out around Monday a lot more than are hanging around on Saturday.
Right, so you're prepared for it.
So I'm prepared for some adversity on Monday. When I prepared myself for that, when it comes, I'm expecting it. It's a lot easier to win a fight when you're expecting to fight. Mm-hmm. Or if you just go to the bar and you show up and some guy punches you in the mouth, you have to create a strategy very fast. What if you can create a strategy going into the bar? This guy's big. He's going to be slow. He's going to throw hate makers. I'm going to go under. I'm going to hit him with a hook. You have a strategy. See, I know I'm knocking Monday out because I had a strategy plan.
Right.
So it's a lot easier for me to keep my anxiousness and my anxiety away. I don't like to diagnose with anxiety as anxiousness for me.
Right.
I keep it away because I've already prepared for it.
Right, so preparation. So let's talk about some keys to, kind of overcoming resistance. So we've established that resistance is real. Everyone experiences resistance. It's that negative energy that's pulling you back. It's constantly trying to keep you from leveling up. So let's talk about some tips and keys that we apply ourselves and, that other people can apply. So for you, preparation.
Preparation.
Right. So Sunday night comes around, you need to be prepared for the week ahead. I'm really bad about that. I'm trying to get better. Like planning the week and having kind of a vision for what I want to achieve throughout the week, right?
Yeah.
So what does that look like for you? Like, do you sit down and write it out, or?
Yeah, I just review throughout the whole week, I'm creating, in my calendar is where I put everything I have to do, right? My to-dos is all in my calendar, hour by hour. I know what to do. So during the week, I'm doing that. But when the night's kind of dying down, like right before we train, actually, I look at my calendar for tomorrow. And I look at it and I just put it in my mind, like, okay, I have a client here, I got to do this, okay. And then after we train, I'm on my way home, I look at my calendar again. And I start just visualizing how I want my daily interactions to go.
Right.
And this is why I really dive into this right before I go to bed and actually put Screw to sleep. And I have like about 20, 30 minutes of quiet time to myself where I jump on my calendar and I start looking at it. I started doing this probably 6-8 months ago. I've always visualized my day, but not to the extent. I literally visualize my interactions, and my customer relations have increased. My relationship
so you're literally
has increased.
visualizing what you want to happen.
I'm visualizing when I walk in the gym, the mood I give to you at the front desk. I'm visualizing the training session that I'm going to have with Henry and every exercise we're going to do and when I know he's going to be having a hard time and on what set and how I'm going to be able to encourage him.
Right. So
it breaks it down, even though it's not like long-term thinking or I'm being a visionary. I'm envisioning what I want to happen. And Jay, I'm telling you, bro, it's like I predict the future. Every time I go in there, the days turn out exactly like I envisioned. Exactly like I envisioned. Even if Henry comes in a bad mood, or Damon, or any one of my other clients come in a negative mood, I can immediately, my vision can immediately, I expecting them to come in a good mood. So the night before, I was expecting no matter what mood they come in, I know how to connect with them on an emotional level that's going to make them put them in a better mood. I'm able to identify their emotions because I listen to them when I'm training them. I find what makes them tick.
Right.
I know what makes them happy. I know the conversations to have with you, Jay, that's going to bring the most out of you because you enjoy talking about the conversations. I'm not going to talk politics with you because you don't give a fuck.
Right. So you've already determined how the day is going to go before it even happens.
Yes.
I think that's really important. That's something I need to work on myself. It's kind of like the Think and Grow Rich book. It's the same idea.
Yeah, that was
right?
and I started listening actually when I first started working for Muscle
you
Farm.
love that book.
Loved it, dude. I listened to it like 20 times.
Yeah, it's good. So kind of stepping back the night before and just kind of visualizing your day. They do that in meditation, actually. It's kind of the reverse, though. You visualize the day that you just had, but it's the same ideas, though. It's visualizing the upcoming day and the objectives that you must complete and how you want those interactions to go. That's cool.
Yeah.
I really like that. So another tip then. Let's roll into another one. What's another tangible tip for someone that's battling resistance? What's a good way to overcome this resistance? Is I was going to say setting an expectation. Right? So setting the expectation that it's going to be hard and you're going to be uncomfortable. So for me, I knew that I was going to be extremely uncomfortable doing the video stuff, and I knew, there was going to be a lot of discomfort involved in this transition. But I also had this vision, though, for what I wanted to do. So, I knew the resistance was going to be there, but I was willing to get uncomfortable and push through that.
Absolutely. And me, very similar. I identify what resistance is. First, I acknowledge it. I acknowledge when I feel like I'm getting ready to do a speaking engagement. I have this overwhelming anxiousness and nervousness before I do it, right? I identified the only reason I feel this way is because of why. What is causing me to feel this way? Resistance is trying to keep me away from what I'm supposed to be doing. I identify that's the problem. Once I identify the problem, I view it as adversity. That's adversity that I'm working through right now. When I work through adversity, just as resistance bands grow the muscles, just as resistance in the gym grows the muscles, I'm growing myself through adversity, through resistance. So when I'm working through those emotions and I'm working through the emotions of resistance and adversity, I'm able to identify that this is a growing phase. This is something that's building my muscles, my brain muscles, my soul muscles into a stronger individual that one day I'm going to be able to be on a podcast and share with the insight that I have.
Right. So, yeah, viewing those negatives as a positive almost, like knowing that these obstacles that you're facing right now and this resistance that you're facing is going to be a really cool story.
Absolutely.
Road,
Everything
right?
for me is about the story. You know, I talk about that all the time. Like, I love telling stories. I love being able to share stories. So the minute I gather any valuable insight and I watched it work for me, I roll it out to my team immediately. Then I roll it out to social media immediately after.
Right.
I'm constantly just rolling out. I'm just passing information along. It's like a conveyor belt. I grab it. Oh, that's great. Let me throw it back on there. I don't hoard it. Don't hoard information. So for me, it's like when I able to conquer something such as resistance. Resistance was very alive for me when I opened up Iron Valley Barbell, and resistance was very alive when we started the Champion Water Initiative and the clothing line.
Yeah,
it was very resistance was very. It was right in our face when we opened a podcast studio. This place was a shithole, and we turned it into something beautiful, and it's awesome, and it's organic and original, and we did it ourselves. But resistance was at an all-time high because the carpet was way more than we thought, and the paint was way more than we thought, and it was triple the work and twice the time.
It always is,
right? That resistance.
But we had a vision,
though.
Right.
So what do you think of vision?
So
I like that.
That's another good one. Is stepping back and creating a long-term vision. So for me, for example, when I set out on this journey, I kind of had a rough vision for what I could achieve and what I wanted to achieve, right? So then, when those obstacles were placed in front of me, it was a lot easier to overcome them, right? And it wasn't nearly as overwhelming because I knew it was very short term, the obstacle, but my vision was long term.
Right, and I think that's a lot with you too, Jay. You have real good long term vision.
Right.
Like you said, you don't envision your next day.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something you definitely should do because you're a great long-term visionary. Like when you don't really as you talk a lot about anxiety and the anxiousness and that you have, it's always it's short-term anxiety, in my opinion, what you have, because your long-term anxiety, you're like, I know I'm going to win.
Right.
I've never asked you, Jay, you've never looked at me like, Zach, I know I'm going to lose in 20 years.
Yeah.
Never once
that's funny.
have we had that conversation.
Right.
But every conversation I have, I know we're going to be a millionaire. That's cool. I don't care about making $1 million a year, but I know we're going to do it. Yeah. And that's you have that vision. It's already definite for you, so I know it's going to come. So it's almost now just adapting that into your short-term visions.
Right. So vision's a huge, huge component. And that applies to anyone, not just someone that wants to be a millionaire and start their own business. That could be a vision for how you want to move up in the business that you're working for, and that could be a vision, let's say, for example, we're approaching New Year's, right? Your vision for the body that you want to achieve and the health that you want to achieve, right? So that's one of the biggest forms of resistance, I would say, is health, and fitness, right? You see so many people that are out of shape and overweight because they're succumbing to resistance. So setting out a New Year's, we're coming up on New Year's, setting out with a vision for what you want the year to look like, and what you want to achieve, how you want to feel. That's why I preach to my clients all the time is think about the motivators behind why you're coming to me, right? Think about how much better you can feel. Think about how much better you can look, how much your confidence can improve. And you're creating that vision, essentially.
Absolutely, man. Today I'm at Walmart, right up the street here in Broad Ripple. I was on Keystone, and I'm pushing my cart down the aisle, and I'm on purpose. When I'm at Walmart, I'm there to get a plunger because I clogged up the toilet and we didn't have one, and I'm going to get some hot sauce for my chicken. Yeah. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, guys. I'm trying to explain to you that I'm on purpose. No matter where I go, I'm walking with intent. I'm kind of almost skipping down the aisle because I got shit to do. I'm excited about my day. And this big fat lady on a fucking scooter in Walmart comes out and about hits my cart. I'm on the main aisle. When you're in the main aisle, you have the right of way.
Yeah, of course.
Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
I think you're right.
This bitch goes, you're rude.
Oh, wow.
I looked at her and she's 700 pounds, bro. Sitting in this fucking thing and her ass is hanging out and shit. I don't make fun of fat people. It's not my thing. I don't fat shit. I don't believe in none of that shit. However, I look at her. I started laughing. I was cracking up. I'm you're mad because I'm pushing my cart down Walmart aisle. That's what you have going on in your life right now. Sorry, I was just thinking about that story.
No, that's when someone's externalizing their own unhappiness.
Yeah,
right? She's succumbing to resistance. She's succumbed to resistance with her nutrition, with her physical fitness, and obviously
I hate the big bone bullshit, right, Jay? Talk about having big bones.
Yeah, there are people that are thicker, but when you're at that point, that's just a lack of discipline. So let's go into that.
So cool with being thicker. Thicker's cool.
Right.
It's okay to be thicker. Having a little extra on you is okay.
Right.
However, when you start to approach obesity, it's what you put in your mouth. You cannot stop food porn. You're addicted to food.
You are addicted. Sugar is one of the most addicting substances out there. so you have to get good at overcoming resistance.
Ash's ass must have sugar in it.
So let's go into discipline, right? I think that's another great tip, developing your discipline. So I read a book that was called The Power of Self-Discipline that totally changed my life. And I realized that you can't achieve anything really without having a decent level of discipline.
An adequate level of discipline.
Right, with a high level of discipline, you can literally do anything you want.
The world is yours.
Right, yeah, and it comes right back to overcoming resistance. If you have strong discipline, you're going to beat that voice 9 out of 10 times. You know what I mean? That voice that's telling you to not do what you need to be doing. As long as you have the discipline. Self-discipline is doing what you need to do and not what you want to do.
Cool, you answered my question. I was like, what? I mean, we can go into it a little more. What is discipline to you?
Yeah,
what's it look like for you, rather? Not like, well, discipline's whenever I do shit that I don't want to do. Right. But rather, what's it look like on a day-to-day basis for you? Because I can tell you exactly what I like. I watch you, so I know what discipline is for you.
Right, it's sticking to my nutrition, right? I'm on this super
motherfucker eats cauliflower 60 times a day. He's on a strict cauliflower diet.
It's forcing myself to eat food I don't like, right? So I just stuffed down green beans, broccoli, kale this morning.
From the morning, let's just go through the discipline that's required for you right now. You're in a lot of changes in life. You're still just trying to get used to Indy. I feel like you fit right in and moved right in. Everything's good. You got a house here, but you're living here a year. I remember when I was just here a year, I was still finding my way around and shit. And then you're with a new group of guys, and you're in an atmosphere you're never really been in, and you're also starting this new diet, and you put on 50 pounds of muscle, and then you're going in a bodybuilding show. You got online clients. You're at the highest. You're doing right now, Jay, the best you've ever done.
For sure.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Life. Most definitely.
This month you've had one of your best months.
Last month was my best month ever.
Best month ever. So you're peaking, right? This peak of this mountain, right? What's discipline look like? What did it take you in order to get here?
Right. It's
that day-to-day discipline.
It's writing articles when I don't want to write an article for my blog.
Great.
Yeah, I love once I start writing. It's like just getting started. And that's another tip for resistance. Just get started. But it's writing an article when I don't want to write an article. It's doing a video when I don't want to do a video, which I need to get better at. It's reading when I don't want to read. It's eating the spinach when I don't want to eat the spinach. It's training when I don't feel like training. It's it's doing all of these things that are leveling me up that I don't want to do. I think that's what self-discipline is. It's literally the act of doing what you need to do and not necessarily what you want to do. Like, that is self-discipline, and I falter all the time. You know what I mean? I try to, something that I try to do, like you said, have intention with everything that you do, right? So I've noticed that with self-discipline as well. If you're disciplined with even the smallest of things, like cleaning your dishes as soon as you get done, eating your food, that discipline is going to, bleed over into other areas of your life, like your content production and your business, all these different things. So I try to get better and more consistent at doing the small things, like picking up my food when I get done, which I can be bad at times, and and doing all the little things that add up to the bigger things.
Yeah, most definitely. How you do one thing is how you'll do anything, right? It was real easy for me to identify good interns and bad interns. I've had a lot of interns come through the gym.
Of course, pretty quickly.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's how they mop.
Yeah.
It's how they clean the toilet. That's going to determine even if they're a good lifter. See, Alex Skinner rushed for 1,200 yards last year, his football year, right? He's a junior in high school. He's the captain of his football team. Had another great standout year this year. Alex gets great grades. He's the president of his class. He has his life together. He reads. He does all this shit. What I recognized with Alex compared to a lot of the other interns I had, Alex scrubbed the toilet so hard that it damn near breaks the porcelain. He cleans it. He came over 4 or 5 weeks ago and said, "Why is this in the sink?" Whenever he started coming back, he goes, "Look at the sink.
Yeah.
Nobody cleaning the sink anymore? What's going on?" I think the sink looks fine. Alex sees a speck over there, though.
Right.
Alex is disciplining himself to doing the small things consistently right over. He's a phenomenon. This kid is something I've never seen.
Same.
I like to say he's a lot like me, except for 100 times better, which is exactly what every good mentor should want for their guys. And that's exactly what this guy is and this kid is, and he's going to be special. I mean, he's to the point where I'm going to have him on the podcast. I'm 100% confident that this 18-year-old kid is going to be able to deliver great insight, if not a regular guest.
Right.
He has that much insight, and
Right.
it goes down to him doing the smallest of things 110% with intent and with purpose. Alex doesn't clean that toilet like that either to impress me. Alex cleans that toilet because that's who he is as a person. I've watched him on a football field. So I've watched him go over to a guy who missed a block or whatever the hell was going on. His kid fucked his play up. Alex walked over to him and looked at the guy, grabbed him by his shoulder pads. You see he was talking to him, and they headbutt each other, and Alex gave him thumbs. And they moved, like, It's like this kid is very intentional. He's on purpose, and when you can find that, it's like that positive momentum starts carrying over in everything else you do in your life, and you become this just specimen of positivity and encouragement. It doesn't mean you're going to slip and not eat your cauliflower sometimes,
right,
or clean up your food. That's still going to happen, but it's having that short-term memory loss to know that who you were yesterday is not who you are today. Every day you have a blank slate, and it's up to you to conquer resistance that day.
Right, yeah. You set out each day, and again, setting that vision for the day is super important, because if you don't, then the day kind of guides you however it wants to. Right?
I'm lacking encouragement. How can I get more encouragement? We didn't preface this question at all.
Right, you just laid it on me.
I have great with that. I'll answer my own question. You have an idea for an answer?
Go ahead and I'll answer after you.
I love this idea of this is not necessarily what I'm dealing with, but I've been finding that the more I encourage other people. Today I was at Starbucks downstairs, which is kind of dangerous for my heart. I'm at Starbucks downstairs, and I see this girl. She works there every day. That I've been down there, and I create small talk with just everybody I'm around. I'm walking down the street. I'm like, it's weird for me too, kind of off topic, but I'm walking down the street in Broad Ripple, and I'm from a small town. So when you see people, you wave, hey, how's it going? I'm in Broad Ripple. I'm, hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? People are like, who the fuck is this guy? So I seen her socks that don't talk to me, or it says like, leave me alone, I'm sleeping, or whatever. I was like, I like your socks. And she was like, where are we going with this topic? What are we talking about?
You asked if you were lacking encouragement.
Oh, that's it. I can tell anyways. So she's getting my coffee, and she's getting my coffee for me, and she's just not as chipper. Like, there's something about Starbucks. It's the experience, bro. They're always happy and fun and fucking hyped up on espressos or something, because they're always super nice and friendly there. And she just wasn't really giving me that same excitement. So I was like, oh, this is a great opportunity for me to encourage her today. She's like, hey, I really like your socks. And she's like, oh, I totally forgot how to use them. These are my favorite socks. They're super dope. You should wear them all the time. But it was just that quick, and I just watched her mood. Like, she started moving around the espresso machines, and she was moving faster. But I just gave her some encouragement. And the same thing works with my guys. The same thing works when Alex is going to hear this podcast. He's going to be encouraged, and when he's encouraged, it's contagious. You want it. If you want more encouragement, encourage others. If you want more support others.
Right. So if you need encouragement yourself, you need to focus on encouraging others first. Right. So it starts with
someone showing gratitude. Right. The more thankful you are, the more you have. So you'll never have anything if you're not thankful for what you have.
Right.
Nothing will ever be good enough. I'm really thankful for this hoodie. It's kept me warm today.
Yeah, we talked about that last episode, and that's something I've been working on the last 7 days to 10 days is waking up and being more grateful. Right. And my day goes so much more smoothly, and I have a lot less anxiety, and I just feel better in general if I just, sit down. Because it's easy to forget how grateful, you really are, and how great you really have it. Right, because relative to most people, I have it phenomenal, right? I see people on Instagram that are driving Lambos, and they're my age, right? But then I also recognize the fact that there's people in Africa that don't even have water, and I have all this cool stuff. I'm living a pretty good life, so I think that that gratitude and being grateful and waking up and, being mindful is really important.
I love that Cardi B song, I'm living my best life.
Yeah.
But I don't love it because it's catchy and it's great and it makes me feel real good. I love it because I'm living my best life.
Right.
I'm not living Jay's best life. I'm not living Cardi B's best life. I'm living my best life. I'm doing the best I can do with the situations I've been dealt with the adversity, the challenge I've been dealt with. I'm living my best life. I'm my best self. My best self might never be Jay's best self. I may never be able to reach that stature, that monetary amount, whatever it looks like, those cars, that whatever it is, but that's okay. That wasn't for me to reach. See, that I couldn't, when you're viewing people on social media who's 20 years old or 25 years old and they're driving Lambos, you're like, damn, man, I ain't got a Lambo and I'm 25. I should be driving a Lambo. Also, hey, were they given the same circumstances and situations with you as you were? Did they start out broke and they start out poor? Were they given a loan? Were they able to get a loan? Were you able to get a loan? Were they acclimated to more of a environment where there was more people and there was more encouragement around them compared to where you had to go from the depths of hell and pull yourself up out of it? So you can't compare other people's situations where they're at now because you don't have the background story.
Right, and it's also a 4-quarter game. I love what Gary Vee talks about that. Don't worry about who's winning after the first quarter, right? The fucking Patriots were down 28-0 or whatever it was a couple years ago at halftime of Super Bowl, and they won the game.
Right.
You know what I mean? However you define winning.
Typical Patriots style.
However you want to define winning the game, you know what I mean? Whether it's financially or happiness or whatever, just because someone your age has more money than you and they may seem happier than you right now, it doesn't mean they're going to win long term. You're just on a different path and you're on a different, you're on a different course in general. So you just got to keep doing you and coming back to living your best life. If you want to start living your best life, you need to start overcoming resistance.
Guys,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd love to talk about money and happiness, right? I think you need to have some money to live for a certain happiness, right? I think it's part of happiness, and I think some people get it twisted. Money's not happiness; it's a part of happiness. There's a lot of things that make you happy, right? And money's one of them because I'm able to buy things that I like to have and give money to people I want to give money to. So there is a level of money that I want to reach in order to fulfill a certain amount of happiness that I want to have. However, money is not the pinnacle of my happiness, and when we chase money, we lose a mission. So when we chase the money, we're losing the mission. When you lose the mission, you start to become a person that you're not. Your character suffers, your integrity suffers. I've been real big on understanding where I'm going and why I'm going there. I'm going to be a millionaire. Why? Because I've impacted millions of people. Where you're going and why you're going there. What's your reasoning? I want to be a millionaire. Why? That's where I'm going, but why? Because I want to drive a Lambo and impress other people, or because my motives just so happen to be impacting people, which then made me money.
Right, and then, there's not necessarily anything inherently wrong with having the goal of making a bunch of money and driving cars because you want to impress other people, but it might lead, to an empty, hollow.
There's going to be a void.
Right.
There's always a void. That's like trying to do it for other people. I did it for the haters. Doing it for my haters.
Now what?
well, once you do it, then what?
Right.
You're always going to have haters, right? You're always going to feel empty. And if you're doing it for other people, well, when are you going to start doing something for yourself? That's hard. It's hard to take in, right? If you're always doing it for other people, when are you going to start doing something for yourself?
Right.
And that's a topic that's a conversation you should have with yourself. If you really are doing it for your haters and for people who are doubting you and people who are not supporting you, well, then when are you going to start doing something for yourself to bring yourself happiness? Or are you always going to be bitter and cynical?
Like that woman at Walmart.
Yeah.
Bringing it full circle.
Fucking bitch.
That's how you're going to end up on a little motor scooter.
Pissed
off.
Fucking cursing at me for no reason.
That's where a lot of unhappiness, I honestly truly think, comes from.
It's projection.
It's because they haven't been able to overcome resistance and they're not happy about where they're at in their life. They don't have a lot of discipline. And they just kind of go with the flow. They do whatever that devil on their shoulder tells them to do.
You know what? Like projection, it's something small, and then it amplifies into something bigger, right?
Yeah.
So you have this something small inside your head that tells you that you can't accomplish the goal of becoming a trainer. So you see Jay doing his thing as a trainer, and it projects a much bigger voice out of your mouth. It was small in your mind, but when it came out of your mouth, your words held a lot more value than that thought did. Those words said, Jay's a piece of shit. He tried to make up all these stories about you. Projected your inward insecurity on Jay because Jay was accomplished his goals.
Right.
It's always an inward projection, an outward projection. So when I hear hate and I hear people talking shit about IVB, myself, or anyone on the team, I can acknowledge what it is. I'm like, I didn't know this motherfucker. I know this is. I wonder what's going on. I hope my man gets some counseling. You know what I mean? I've gone through a lot of counseling to not to feel that way,
right?
Or to identify those emotions and those thoughts.
Yeah, they're externalizing their own unhappiness,
and they're never gonna fulfill that void. Is never gonna be. If you have time to hate on other people, if you have time to knock other people down,
right? Most successful people don't.
Most successful people. I haven't met very many successful people who have that type of time. Right. And if they do, they're riding coattails to success, or I mean, there's all with the social media and the internet and stuff. We could portray ourselves as something we're not on social media, which can help levitate some level of success. But is that really success? Just because when I say levitate some success, it could just be monetary, because anyone can really make money on the internet right now.
Yeah,
anybody. You can flip product and make money on the internet, right?
Of course.
So is it bringing you, fulfilling you with true success and true happiness? And that's something that we all have to answer.
Right. Those are real hard questions.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for everyone to step back and ask those questions. And if you're not happy and you're not fulfilled, then how can you be fulfilled? And maybe come back to the original question of, if you were the last person on earth, would you still do it? Right? So I highly encourage everyone checks out The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, not The Art of War, it's The War of Art. And sit down, and really digest the information. Maybe read it a couple times, even if it doesn't impact you right away. Read it 6 months from now. Read it 12 months from now. Like for me, the first time I read it, it was so-so. The second or third time was when I had that true impact, because it, really depends on where you're at in life right now. So step back, think about where you're at in your life right now, if you're happy or not. Start developing a vision and a mission, right?
It's a real short book.
Yeah, it is. You're going to be able to read it really, really quick.
Read it or listen to it. I mean, listen to it today.
Yep, get on Amazon, order it today. Resistance is going to battle you, so just order it right away.
Yes, it's going to say, I don't need to read that book.
Right,
Whatever it
and
is.
I don't usually, I obviously push books a lot, but this one is just super special to me. That's why I talk about it so much. And it just does such a great job of pinpointing resistance. And resistance plays such a pivotal role in everyone's life, and that's why I love it so much. So please check it out.
Definitely check out
The War of Art. It's a phenomenal book, man. I love the book. And I love what Jay said, re-listen to it in 6 months. I love that. Also, I would want to encourage you guys, if there is a chapter, it's broken down in quick chapters. Like when I'm listening to the audiobook, if I have any audiobook fans out there, the first track's 17 minutes, the next one's 11, and then the average is 3 or 4 minutes per track. And they break it out into it's 3 stories, right?
Yeah.
But the tracks,
3 parts, yeah.
I've re-listened to the track. I don't know if it was 9 or 8.
I've re-listened to that track 30 times today. I haven't moved on to the book. I just keep re-listening to it, and I know verbatim what he's about to say, but I'm beating that into my psychology over and over. So hopefully my DNA starts to change a little bit, and then my ancestors ain't feeling quite the same resistance. I'm changing. I'm trying to change my DNA to believing and viewing adversity and viewing resistance as a positive.
It's a positive. Mindset is everything.
Guys, thanks for tuning in to the Zach and Jay Show. We absolutely love podcasting with y'all and having you guys on as listeners. If you guys give us a like, that really helps us grow our podcast. And the more people we can have following the podcast, and the better the podcast is going to be, and the more people we're going to be able to reach. Also, if you want to find myself, find me at Zach Hummel on any social media platform. We also work on growing my YouTube page a ton. Zach Hummel Power. There is a ton of valuable information on there. It's going to take your lifts up and take your mindset game up. Jay.
Cool. Check out my Instagram, Twitter, JY_Azeltine. I think I post some useful, fun stuff. I've been writing a lot more lately, too.
great content in the post.
I've been really back on top of my writing. Zach set a quota for us on articles we had to write, and it was great for me because I slacked for months. So now I've been back on top of my game. I just did a 3-part series about how I gained 20 pounds of muscle over the past year. So I started with the first one, kind of talking about an overview of how much I've grown, how much my lifts have grown, just kind of give you an idea. Part 2 was what my nutrition looked like over the past year. Kind of gave some tangible, ideas and advice on what you can do with your nutrition and, and level yourself up right away. And then part 3, which just came out, is basically just talking about training and talking about what I've learned over the past 12 months training with Zach. And it's really interesting, and I think it can help you, right off the jump. So that's going to be available on jazeltinefitness.com and ironvalleybarbell.net. And that's it. That's all I got.
Peace.
Peace.